I started with FFL about a year ago. And yours was literally one of the first videos that came up when I YouTubed it. You were
Really?
at
That's
some, yeah,
awesome.
dude, you were at
I've had a
some,
lot of people say that. That is funny.
something about the YouTube algorithm, man. It loves you
I guess
because,
I guess I should have had my contact info on there,
dude, you
huh?
really should
I've
have,
had that a
man.
lot.
You, you'd be running integrity right now.
That's funny.
But yeah, but I followed you, man, even since. So yeah, you've really hit some highs. I know another time I checked in and you had, I think I saw a video with you and Sean Mike, and you had just hit like 100K like
Yep.
that month or
Yep.
something
That
like
was the
that.
month. Yep.
And I
Yep.
was like, whoa, like this guy is like tearing it up. So yeah, man, so really cool. Well, so yeah, dude, so pretty much we're just going to, this was FFL biographies, now it's Ask a Manager. Usually I just really like to
Awesome.
get a great snapshot of, and we share this with all of our downloads, so literally hundreds of agents we'll see it, even though there's only like 4 on now. but
Okay.
um but I love to get a snapshot of how you came to FFL, what the beginning process like was for you, your growth, obviously now being a
Yeah.
top producer, and then, growing an agency. So let's start at the beginning. How'd you come to FFL? What did that look like?
Yeah, man. So I actually, my before FFL, there was a few things I actually went through. I went through a couple sales jobs. I did solar, I did cable, and I found myself actually getting approached by one of my family members who had said, "Hey, have you ever thought of the insurance industry?" And I was like, "Well, no, not really." In fact, I tried to hire him into solar, and he was like, "Yeah, no, man, I just get paid too fast." And I was like, "Wow, that's different." So I was
Yeah,
like,
no
"Well,
kidding.
maybe I should look into that because I seem to take a month to get my paycheck." So
Right.
let's look at that. So I kind of looked into it. I started looking into kind of what it involves, what it takes to do. And I basically started my exam course, which I did have to pay for. The company I came from, totally different than here. So I had to pay for my exam course. I had to pay for my license. I was not the best test taker. It took me probably 3 times to finally pass it. So I'm not anything special. But yeah, once I passed it, got started. It was a company that I actually had to, no, I'm not going to mention names, but I had to memorize a script, go through that. And then I was bait and switch selling. So it was totally different than here, right? Like it was people who were, I mean, they could be interested in anything, right? And then basically I'd get my foot in the door. That was the idea. And then I would talk about insurance, right? And why they need it. So it was
Sure.
totally different. And I was also being paid 35% comp. Now, I, being new to the industry, knew nothing about comp. Like I just thought, okay, that was like high. I just thought that was a lot.
Right.
And that was like normal, right? Which, to be honest, most of this industry, that is normal, right? So for me, it was like, well, okay, I'm just going to give it my all. I went through the effort, and I definitely got to say, I quickly learned it wasn't exactly the place I wanted to be forever. I knew that right off the bat. Honestly, it just, the management, everything about it, just everything seemed a little shady always, and I
Yeah, I
I was
feel you,
like,
man. I know what you're talking about.
just kidding. But yeah, so I decided after kind of going through that, 30% for so long, and it's still taken 2 weeks to get paid, and only having one product, one company to write with, I was actually going to leave the industry. So I was on my way out. I was looking at a few jobs and also just trying to go back to college, to be honest. So I started a semester. I kind of had some part-time gig. And then I get a text because I'm still a part of the team chat of that last company.
Sure.
I get a text saying, "Hey, don't look at, if you ever get reached out to by Family First Life," and this is one of my managers, right, that was at that last place. If you ever get a text from Family First Life, they're called Family First. They talk about how they have high comp, fresh leads, all this stuff. Trust me, they're a scam. Don't look at them. So I was like, well, first off, I don't trust anything you say ever.
Right.
So exactly that. And I think the funny part is a lot of people are coming to Family First exactly like that, right? Because we have
That's so
so much
funny.
bad marketing too, but it's because of the companies not liking that we're taking everyone from them. Because why
Yeah.
shouldn't work for 35%. I mean, just coming into this, it was like, I honestly didn't even believe it. I was
Right.
so brainwashed into thinking 35 was like it, right? And like
Right.
I shouldn't. It took me about 3 months to finally even take the full jump to it. And that was after, of course, meeting Sean, Mike, and Andrew. And I was like, okay, this is real. People are having success. I'm going to give it a shot. And I remember that first paycheck just being like, what the heck have I been doing? Like for the last
It's
year, you know?
it's so funny how similar where we came from is. In fact, when we're not on, I think it's being recorded. I'm going to ask you where you came from because I'm curious. But
Yeah, of
but
course.
it was very, very similar where I came from. As far as the other place, same thing. It was my first dip in the insurance industry. I didn't like the culture. The comp was,
Yeah.
I thought it was high. We were actually a little bit higher than what you're describing. And I thought, oh, wow, we're making great, at like 50,
Yeah. Yeah. I
60%.
thought it was good money. Yeah, exactly. It's
And
funny
and
how that
same
works.
exact thing. People were like, hey, if you get reached out to by this guy on Facebook with Family First Life, it's a scam, don't
Right.
do it. And that's so funny. So that's how you came to Family First Life. Wow. And so you
And
just
I gotta say too, I think family first. I think the thing that really attracted me the most is really the family. Like they live by the name.
right.
Like when I went to that conference, it was like, first off, it was free. I didn't have to pay for it, and obviously people are being paid better here. But at the place I came from, I was getting 30% and still having to pay for everything, right? So that alone was like, oh wow, okay, that's really cool. And they flew in from different states to just train us, right? Took the time out to do that. And then to be able to shake the CEO's hand like that
Mm,
and realize that he is just trying to help everyone, that he was in our position too. Like he was
right.
just, at one point he was just producing too, right? And he understands that like he's not trying to be better than anyone else. Like that's not
Mm,
who he is, right? He's just like the culture was just like, wow, they're actually talking to me. The last place I came from, it was like, I'm not going to talk to you if you're not on my team, And I thought that was really cool. So now I've
that
got to be a part of that and share on these other podcasts. It just feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it, man. But what you're saying is so true. It's so funny. The first week, me and my friend Caleb came to my business partner now came to that company together, and we saw that there was this lady that had what was a huge week to us. She had sold like 8,000 in premium, and she was the top out of like 80 agents, which is funny here.
Right,
Like
right.
I've done 25K this week.
Wow,
And I'm
that's
not,
awesome,
and
man.
that's probably not even the top in the company. Guys like you've been
Right,
doing that for a while, Steve Giordano and all
right.
that. And but she was the top, and we went to her. We're just like, well, let's ask her what she did, and she completely blew us off. This lady, she's like, oh,
Wow.
just da 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 da. And the phone calls I've had, even just on a one-on-one basis with guys like this top writer in the company, Steve Giordano, guys like
Mm-hmm.
John Porcina. I stopped him. We were doing some podcasts a couple weeks ago at the tri-state office, and he stopped talking to me for like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Like these
and
guys don't,
they'll take the time.
and
They're
like
not worried
obviously, like
about competition.
yeah, that's so tell you exactly, what they're doing. Steve's
Exactly.
like,
Because
oh
you know
yeah,
what? We have
this
so many
much, and you do
leads.
this.
Exactly. And I think the thing is, we have so many leads that we don't need to be all competitive to one another. It's like if I
Right.
teach you and you go kill it, great. Now you're going to have a joyful day. Good. More power to you. You know what I mean? It's like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Instead of taking away that joy from you by not sharing. Right. And I think that we have the leads. So why not share? Because all of us are going to eat anyways. We're not, we don't need to be worried about that at all. So
Yeah, and what you said is exactly why she blew us off. Because that company, I didn't know until after I left, but they got a really limited amount of these like leads that weren't even
right.
great leads, and they only went to a couple people. And so, of
Exactly.
course, she couldn't divulge,
Like
that
what's
only
happening.
3 agents out of
Yep.
80 were getting these leads. She didn't
Yep.
want to lose them,
Exactly.
so. But anyway, okay, so that's how you came. So talk to us about the start then. So you came to Family First Life. You got started. Was it
Oh man,
a
let me tell
splash
you
right
about the
away, or
start.
was it a rough start?
Yeah, let me tell you about the start. The start was a long one. Like it took me 3 months to start, and I
Wow.
would say I still didn't start. Right when I started, it was just me kind of dipping my toes. I did everything opposite from everyone that told me to do. Right, like everything that everyone told me, I just did it opposite. So I wasn't seeing the results. I saw results of like 5K a week, but then I'd question myself on how I'm not writing like, 40K in a month, but I wasn't doing the work. Like, I mean, it
Mm,
just, for me, I think the place I came from, the one thing about it was that I was used to being told what to do. Coming
sure.
into this, it was like, okay, we really do have the freedom, right? Which is awesome. We have freedom, but that comes with responsibility, right?
Right.
And that first, I'd say 6 months, I was extremely irresponsible. I was buying the smallest amount of leads. Like I'd buy maybe $400 or $500 of leads, and then I would call through them, and maybe get 15 appointments, 20 appointments, maybe. Like that was on like hopefully, right?
Right.
And that was for the whole week, right? So
Mm,
I would question myself on why I'm not writing. But then if you just do the numbers, I mean, I was trying to get 30 appointments with 20 leads. That's not possible,
right.
right? So like
Right.
it just like you can't do that, right? So it was a long start. I met a lot of people. I got a lot of different perspectives, but I just kind of kept in my own ways, which I think a lot of people I noticed do that. And I think you could say it's an ego thing, whatever it is, right? It's just where we're coming from and coming into this. Some of us hold what we've already learned and not open up and be a sponge again.
Sure.
And for me, it was like that was my problem. I wasn't opening up. I was trying to do everything my way, and wasn't listening. But then it came to convention time, annual convention, and I met these individuals that were just like Brittany Smart, like all these people that were just killing it the previous year, right? Still killing it today. Um, and I met these people and just got to like feel the energy of that room, and like everyone all in one spot, just like all wanting the same goal, like everyone's driving towards the same thing, but also helping one another, right? By the way, am I
Right.
cutting out? Am I okay?
You cut out
Am I
there
cutting
for a
out?
second, but you were for
Okay.
a second, but you're good now.
Okay. Yeah. So it was just the energy of that room kind of bled into me, right?
Mm,
And from there, it was like, okay. So I've been told all these things. It was just kind of funny. I think this happens all the time. I was told all the things to do at the beginning, but I just didn't do them. But then
right.
I heard something from someone else at the annual convention. It was still the same thing I was already told, but just because the energy in that room and everyone like actually sharing that goal and being so motivated, it drove me to be
Right.
like, oh, okay, this is right. Like I need to follow this.
Right.
And I remember calling my manager. I'm like, I know what I need to do. I need to do this, right? And they're just probably thinking like, dude, I already told you that. But yeah, go do that. So it's just that was kind of my start. And then 2020, that was the start of the year. If you look at my numbers, it was like after that annual convention, all of a sudden it went to 30. And then once I got to 30, it went to 40. And then 40 went to 60, 60 went to 75, 75 went to 100, and then 100. And then, yeah, it was just this like momentum after that annual convention. So if you haven't gone to an annual convention or have not been attending events, you're missing out on a ton. And I think that
Yeah.
was the biggest thing for me to actually drive me to move in this business. So
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I come from, and a lot of my friends come from a ministry like background. I went to a college where I was speaking a lot, speaking to a lot of youth, and I ran an inner city ministry. And there used to be a saying that a guy that had been doing that for a long time used to tell me. He's like, he called it. He's like, it's another voice. He's like, you can say the same thing to someone again and again and again. He's like, but
yep,
and it starts becoming white noise. And
yep,
what they need to see, it's exactly what you said. But when they see other people who are living it, doing the same thing, and they hear it again, that same information they've heard 1,000 times before, then it clicks. You know,
Exactly.
so great advice. So and conferences just in general, obviously the annual convention is great, but hey, we have conferences all the
All
time,
of them.
and
They're all the
yeah,
time. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you haven't attended an event, just look at the calendar for the next months. I mean, they're already planned, you know, like we've got several all across the nation happening just this next month. So
yeah, 100%, 100%. So you came to us in 2019.
yep, came in 2019. Didn't really, that's why I say my full official like go moment was 2020.
Mhm.
You know, before
Was
that I was a
2020.
part-time dip in the toes, you know, not working when I should be working, that type of thing.
And what did you write in 2020?
2020, I wrote a total. So I submitted about a little over six. I paid about 526, 536,
Wow,
something like that.
that's awesome. That's awesome. What are you at for this year so far?
This year, I'm at about 120. I am doing a lot of management stuff too right now and trying to run
Sure.
offices. So it's a little bit different, but I'm definitely, you know, I love the field. When I go on the field, it's always a good time, and you know, I enjoy it. I really do enjoy servicing clients. So it's a passion in the heart, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you're at where I want to be for sure. So let's go back there. So beginning of 2020, it clicked, and so what were the big changes that for you that was different from Zach 2019, dipping his toe in, starting but not really, and then 2020, that momentum started building. What were the changes you implemented? Those things that you had heard 100 times before, but you just weren't doing, and that you were like, okay, it's go time now. Let's make it happen. What were those for you?
Honestly, the biggest things for me were leads. That's like, I know we all hear it again and again and it gets old, but do you know why we hear it so much? Because it's the answer to your problems.
It's true.
But do you
Yeah.
know, we don't do it, right? So like for me, as soon as I changed my lead budget from 500 a week occasionally to like 1500 to 2000 a week, everything changed. That was like everything changed
Mm,
because now all of a sudden I had more people. I wasn't worried about selling every single person. Now it was just about, I have so many appointments, John, I got to get going to the next one if you're not going to buy. Like, like
yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean? It's more like it's momentum, right? It's perspective. It's having that it's like the perspective of having so much that I'm actually, Andrew says it best on this one, I'm actually stressed that I have so many people to see. Not you know what I mean, not the other way around. Like I'm
I know
actually
exactly what you
stressed
mean.
about, yeah, I'm not stressed about the cost of the lead. I'm actually just stressed that I have so many people to see. So what I have to worry about is I need to get to all these people and service them because they asked for it, right? So that was the biggest factor, was changing lead budget to an investment rather than a cost, right? And my mindset before was a cost. Now it's an investment always, right? And the other thing I'd say is mindset. Mindset completely shifted. Like it shifted to me being confident, me being realizing the power of insurance a little bit more than I ever have, right?
Mm,
Getting that death claim. Actually, I did get a death claim, and that definitely kind of was like, oh wow, holy cow! Like what we do is really important. You know what I mean? And I think that gave me more of a push to be able to say to John when he wants to think about it that, John, what's there to think about? Like, is your family not important to you? You know what I mean? Like I'm serious, you know, like,
right.
and being able to reflect that to clients, they understand and see that passion and drive it forward. And then they're going to buy, you know what I mean? Like that's it. So I'd
Yeah.
say lead budget, mindset, and, oh, that I had one more on the tip of the tongue. It's not coming to me, but that's good for now. It'll come back
Well,
to me.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny what you said
Oh,
there,
and
and so
sponge like. I became a sponge. I became like I was willing to listen to anyone, whatever advice they gave, I was willing to take it. As long as they were doing what I wanted to do, right? That's the one thing that I think a lot of us do, which during my first 6 months here, I was I was just not having like, I was hanging around the people that were doing the same thing I was doing. So it wasn't actually helping me, you know? But
Sure,
now it's
sure.
like I talk to the people who are doing what I want to be doing, which then I'm taking notes and I'm implementing. I'm not just listening, right?
Yeah. You know, and it's funny, you could almost make everything you said after leads a subcategory of leads
Yeah,
because
everything.
because you know, when you are buying all these leads, of course that in itself is going to change your mindset. You know, the
Yep.
more people that you're sitting in front of, the more that you're experiencing, you know,
It's
people.
repetition, confidence, everything.
Yeah, it's gonna do change your mindset. Of course, you're spending all this money. You have anxiety about all these people you need to see. So of course you're more open to receiving, you know, instruction. You know, when you say sponge
Yep.
like, you
Yep.
know, and you wanna hear it from top producers. So that's big, man. And obviously the thing we didn't say there, but the obvious one, when you're spending so much money on leads, you're gonna go to work. You're
Exactly.
not going to spend $2,000 a week on leads and then chill at home and be like,
Yep.
forget
30
about it.
appointments a week was like my biggest shift, right? It
Mm-hmm.
went from 10, 15, maybe even less than 10 sometimes to 30, like no matter what, 35 if I needed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, that's awesome. And then, and so for you at that level, so obviously you got to a place where you were writing on a really high level. You know, writing a hundred
Yeah.
thousand in premium a month. That's huge.
Yeah.
What at as you grew in your leads, obviously you're spending a good chunk. What did that diversification look like? I know for part of last year we didn't even have instant internet. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook was a big thing. Mortgage. What were you traveling? What did your running and lead spend like detail? What did it look like?
So when we say traveling, traveling can also be local, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of agents that just want to work in their back door. I didn't make it work by working in my back door, right? Like it
Right.
was like I was utilizing the entire state. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was how I did business, right? Um,
And where is that
and
for you? I'm sorry. Where are you from?
Utah. I mean, Utah.
Utah.
If
Okay.
if anyone tells me they have a lead problem, I
Yeah.
laugh because go look at Utah.
Right.
So because that's never an excuse either. So
Mm-hmm.
and there's always a way, right? If there's a will, there's a way. So my thing was I'd mix everything I possibly could because that's all I could do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't rely on one source. There was no way in heck I could rely, even just instance now, there's still not enough of those here that I couldn't just go rely on instance either, right?
Right.
So at that time there was an instance. We had Facebook, mortgage. There was some CRM leads that I would buy, but for the most part, it was Facebook, mortgage, and then old leads as well, just to fill in gaps. That was my strategy, and I
So
didn't really care how many of one or the other. It was like so automatic that it was just I just need to hit my lead like number, right? I need 80 to 100 leads, and I'm good. Then I don't need to worry about it. I don't care what lead it is. It gets to a point where the lead is just, again, it almost went back to kind of how it was, where the lead is just a foot in the door, but now it's a foot in the door to someone who wants what I have. See what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
Yeah. Something.
that's it.
Yeah. Something I didn't comment on. I forgot earlier, but you brought it up again. There is your mindset changes so much when you have more than enough leads. It's exactly like you said. One of my agent I work with, asked me the other day, is like, man, you're getting some really big premiums. He's
Mhm.
like, you know, how are you doing that? And I was like, man, to be honest, I'm not even looking for them. Like, I'm
Mhm.
really just going from appointment to appointment, looking for people who want it, who need it. And I mean, I think my biggest premium for the week, I got one that was his and hers is about 500 a month. And the 2 appointments before that, the people were just kind of blowing me off. And I didn't
Mm.
fight it. I was just like, all right. I was like, well, hey, have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you later. And I
Right.
sat down with the husband and wife at that appointment, and they were like, wow, like 2 minutes in, she looked to her husband and she was like, hey, this is really important. She's
Yeah,
like, we
exactly.
really need to. And I
Yeah.
just found that person.
And Gabe, you must just be working mortgage. I'm just kidding. The thing that I got all last year was like, oh, you just must be on mortgage. Like, no, you got to use everything. Like the thing with
Yeah.
high AP, I think the thing that we do when newer And that's what I did too. So I'm relating, right? When I was newer to FFL, I always just wanted to blame everything but myself. So it was like,
Right.
oh, he must be doing this. Oh, he must have the secret in home. Oh, he must be, you know what I mean? Like it just, there's always an excuse. And I think the thing I heard the most was like, oh, he's just working mortgage. Oh, and I can't get
Right.
mortgage, so I can't do that. That
Right.
no, like that's not it at all. So like if you get every lead type, it's going to work as long as you have numbers in your favor. That's it. You're going to run into people that have money and don't have money in every lead category. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what lead category, they're all going to have. I mean, think of it this way, the more people make, the more they spend too. So it's like,
Right.
it's all equals out to about the same. It's just about how much value do you show? You know, are you just showing price, or are you actually showing that it's valuable, just like you were talking about?
Yeah. No, dude, you're 100% right. I mean, just my mix, exactly what you're saying over the last couple of days. Just my mix over the last couple of days, my biggest sale was from a final expense. You know, part of it was
Yeah.
I think it was just this morning. It was like 160 something a month. It was a final expense. The guy was older in his 70s. He's like, I need this. I need to put it in place.
Yeah,
He's like, I walked in. He's like, I waited too long. Like he said it to
exactly.
me. He's like, I've been looking at these. He's like, I've got denied a couple times. He's like, I know I waited too long. He's like, I just need to put coverage into place. And it was 160 something. And I did have a couple mortgage like yesterday, and they were like 70. You know, so you're exactly right. And then we had an agent just out in Arizona, got like a 20,000 something AP from an instant internet. It was a business
Yeah.
owner.
I mean, literally, it doesn't matter the lead type. The AP is going to follow as long as you have the volume of leads to support it.
100%, 100%. So going over, so one
And
more
am I
thing.
good on internet? I know my internet's not the best right now. So am I okay? Am I spotty at all?
There's been a couple times where it dragged out a little bit, but for the most part, you're good.
Okay. Okay, good.
And that, so just, and one last thing there. So obviously you had a big evolution on the on your mindset going into your home, into the homes. Do you feel like you changed a lot about your present, excuse me, your actual presentation when you were in the homes over the course of you getting to a top producer? And what were those changes?
Honestly, not as much as you'd think. In fact, what I do is I use a lot of different people, right? So like, I've of course got my own things too, but that again, I'm not, so like I came from a scripted place, right? And the script actually affected me in a negative way because of the fact that I then couldn't add my own personality. And your own
Sure.
personality does have an effect, right?
Sure.
Every single one of us, it doesn't matter if you think you're special or not, like every one of us is special in some sort of way, and our personality will reflect it. And if we can't add that, then you know, you're going to sound like a robot. So I wouldn't tell anyone specifically say this. Okay. What I would say is bullet points that are extremely valuable in your presentation, and just making sure you hit them, right? If you do those things, you're fine. You're going to do well. So my biggest thing for someone is that honestly, what I had to change a little bit was I was used to solar and those things where rapport and a bait and switch lead, rapport was big, right? I had to like build up who I was and like, oh, I'm friendly, I'm not here to hurt you. And you know, I was a stranger, complete stranger. So I had to build rapport. That's something that I had to work on, because a lot of us come from other sales jobs and think rapport is so valuable, but here they already want it. If you're going in building rapport, now you just don't seem as professional, in my opinion. I would rather just talk, maybe a little small talk for like a couple minutes, just walking in, getting to the table, etc. But I'm pretty much right to the point, right? Like I don't build that much rapport. So that would be one that I think is important for people to realize. And also stop catering to everything the client tells you. Like I get agents all the time that are like, well, they want this. Well, John, you're 75 and you want $100,000, $150,000 term. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to happen. And you have to be the professional to tell them what they need rather than waiting for them to tell you what. It's like you're almost letting them think about it by doing that. Because all of a sudden you became the shopping boy let me tell you, my time's way more valuable than that. I'm not here to be your quote boy. I'm not. I'm here to get this application in and provide the coverage. I'm not here to talk about, you know, all of your life stories at the beginning, then cater to what insurance you want, and then get told, hey, can I have your business card? I'll call you in a week. Like, that's
Right.
not why I'm here. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest things that I changed.
Yeah, and those are huge. I mean, a couple things you said there. What you said is so big as far as not having to build rapport. That's the power of having leads. You know,
Yep.
you're going to a person that requested it. They asked for the help. You're there to help them. Like, your role is, just by the nature of the reason that you're walking through that door, your role is so defined, you know, in your favor already. Like, they asked for you to
Right.
be here. You called, you set this appointment for me to be
Exactly.
here. Like, I'm here for business. And so you don't need to, exactly like you said, you didn't come in any shady back doorway. There's no bait and switch. You know why I'm here. Like sometimes I'll answer the door and be like, oh yeah, I'm the insurance guy.
Right.
Or something like
Yep.
that. Like, you know why I'm here. Like, I'm not trying to hide anything, you know.
Yep.
So that's big. But then something I love you said there at the end is, don't let folks lead you. You know, when you are walking in, you're there to do the leading, you know, and
Yep.
that's something that new agents struggle with a lot. You know, a lot of times, exactly what you said, folks are walking in and you're Google. You know,
Right.
you're a quote, you know, I'm here for a quote. You know, I got a quote from you. I'm going to get a quote from another guy, and then this
Yep.
guy, and that intimidates, you know, new agents to where they feel like they have to
Like, that's
cater.
normal. Yeah, exactly. And it's not.
And it's not. And like, just like you said, that's not going to lead you anywhere. I was just
Nope.
talking to a new agent like that. Like, he wants this much for as little as he can get. And, you know, da 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 da. And I was like, hey, you have to like take control of this conversation, figure
Yeah,
out
and
what they need.
price is never, like, price. That is the thing that I am the least focused on. I am
Right.
all about value. If someone says
100%.
they want it for $30 a month, I'll be very blunt. John, you're 75. Do you really think you're going to get this for $30 a month? Where'd you see that ad? Oh, I saw it on TV. Okay, so that's an accidental death benefit. You've heard of that, right? Okay, so let's get back to business. This is actually insurance to protect your family. Let's go ahead and do that, right? Like, $30 a month's not going to do your job.
I learned so much from an interview between Sean Mike and Grady Polson one time. And obviously Grady's training is great. He's phenomenal, you know, an integrity partner now. This is the one time I saw Sean Mike pick on him a little bit, because Grady was talking about, oh yeah, my average premium was right around like 80, $90 a month.
That's
And
tiny. Yeah.
yeah. And Sean kind of went in. He's like, whoa, wait, why was it $80, $90? And he's like, oh, I found, like, generally speaking, that's about as much as people could afford and stuff like that. And he's like, what was your
Inaccurate.
persistency like? Yeah. And what was it? And so Sean was kind of going in on him, and he told him, and then he's like, ask me what my normal premium is. And it was like 170 with this
Yep.
like outrageous persistency, like
Yep.
really high.
That's
And
how mine is.
yeah. And then he made a comment. He's like, you know what I found? And I implemented what he said, and I found the same thing. He's like, I have found, when I walk in there and I'm selling on value, so what they actually need and what this is going to do for them, that my bigger premiums, you know, the ones that are like the 170 and higher, those are the ones sticking on the books, and the ones
Yep.
falling off are the ones where the conversation was all about price.
Yep.
You know, and that it's just so true, because
Well,
when
there's
you're
nothing to attach to it. It's already an intangible object. They can't hold it like their TV remote. And
right.
if there's no value behind it, all they have is a number coming out of their bank account. It's pretty easy
Yeah.
to change.
Yeah, that's it. Well, hey, I want to shift away. You gave us some great stuff there. Obviously, now your focus is completely different. You know, you were a top producer, you know, did great. Now you are building an agency. Where are you at in your agency right now? About how much are you guys doing a month?
We're doing 275. We're hiring a ton though, so at least trying to a ton. I have to be careful with my words. Hiring is, because sometimes it's easy to trick yourself, right? And I learned that from Sean. Don't say a ton if it's not a ton, right? Like a ton is family first life isn't even a ton. So I take that back. But
Right.
what I'll say is that we're hiring, right? And we are trying to hire as much as we can.
Sure.
But we are on that. We're now what I had to learn the first go around was leads, right? Spending money to make money with leads.
Right.
Now, my next thing I ran into, this was like 5 months ago. I learned how, okay, I need to spend more on the hiring side and realize that the money will come back eventually, and that's okay. So learn to let go for right now for a second and see as it does this snowball effect over time, right? So that was my next thing I had to overcome. It's like staff was another thing I had to overcome. So it's just like we're at 265 right now, and we're definitely growing a lot more now. We're trying to get up as fast as we can. I mean, integrity is the goal. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And what's the learning curve been a little bit? And you just shared a little bit of it there. Obviously you had that learning curve to be a producer. What has the learning curve been for building now that you're really getting momentum, hitting that? I'm sure you've had the same experience as the way that you're like a sponge. It seems like everybody says that first 300 or 400,000 is the hardest. And then kind of when you get over that hump, it starts taking care of itself a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you're right
I've
there.
been finding that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right there. Go ahead.
Learning to let go of control has been something I've had to do. Now, I don't know if everyone's personality type's the same, but as far as the way I have been used to running the business is having all control, right? But if you look at like a good business structure, right? Like Sean Mike, he knows his staff will get the job done. Now, if he needs to come in and tell them, hey, change this, they're going to change it, right? But I think my biggest thing was learning to be okay with like giving responsibility too, and not needing to take everything on myself, which I'm very like, that's my biggest thing is like, I try to take on everything when I don't need to, you know what I mean? So like, that's something that has been a hump that I've had to overcome.
Sure.
As well as investing, like I said, money into recruiting. It's just like the lead purchasing. It took a while for me to finally realize, okay, this is actually going to build the business, right? And I need to spend the money. The other thing was staff. I didn't have staff even after hitting VP. I still didn't have staff for probably 3 months, and that was definitely something that I made a mistake on. And as soon as I had got staff, it was like, oh, I've been missing out. You know what I mean? Like that's why we've been kind of like sitting here at this like level playing field, is because I'm doing everything myself.
Sure. That's great info. And then obviously coming from being a top producer and still of course a top producer, and now training agents and multiple agents, what have you found has been kind of the toughest move as far as like helping agents get going? Has there been an evolution like that for you? As far as people coming in fresh, you helping them get going, giving them instruction. How's that look like for you?
Hold on 1 second. My internet is like super bad right now. Hold on.
No worries.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Ooh, you're breaking up a little bit worse now. You weren't before.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna swap Wi-Fi, so give me just a second. You just want to cut this out.
Go ahead, take your time. Sean, can you hear me? I just saw your text. You got the
Yeah, I'm here.
Got the cops calling you today on a door knock?
Hey, they freaked out, man. I sent them a text mailer, and they texted me back. It was a couple weeks ago. It said that we received it fraudulently, and so I just put a stack of leads together and door knocked it, not realizing that was the same one. And I knocked it. They were not happy at all.
Oh no! Did you sell the cops? That would have made that the perfect story.
I left. I didn't want that to ruin my day, but the guy was about 400 pounds and with a cane, and they were mad because I was too close to the door in the middle of a pandemic without a mask on, and he threatened to throw me off the porch. And I kind of called him the illegitimacy of that option, and he didn't like that too much.
Hey man, that just means good things are ahead. Good job, bro. Good job.
Yeah. I just got in my car and it felt like I drank a Red Bull. I was so pumped after that.
Oh my gosh. Take it to the next one.
Yeah.
What do you have for the week right now?
Don't ask. Terrible.
Has it been?
It's a one-off.
I've seen you. I felt like I've seen you post a few. Well, that's good. You have some pretty great weeks consecutively. So forget you. You deserve to have a bad one.
All right.
Zach, you back on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Cool. Awesome. So go ahead and hit me with that question again, because I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I just was trying to get you, obviously being a top producer, coming in, now bringing in, like you said, not going to use the word a ton, but hiring quite a bit, and helping get these new agents kind of on the field. Has there been an evolution as far as the way that you've thought when you started building, bringing people in, just when you were writing, as opposed to now giving that a tremendous amount of focus? What are you seeing are the characteristics of like successful agents, non-successful? What helps someone in this industry, and what do you do to help them?
So it's gonna it always goes back to the same thing, right? So like the leads are always like the first struggle for most people is like realizing that they need to invest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I've been putting the focus in more and more into the management side of things, and getting the team volume to grow, I've noticed that there's usually two types of agents, and you find them by more hiring, right? And that's the only way you really can find them is by more hiring. There's two types. There's the one that is going to dip the feet, right? Like it may be $500 for their first lead purchase, maybe 400, maybe 600, whatever. And then there's the one that's like, hey, I've got $2,000 in my bank account. I will spend it all to make this happen. That's the two types, right? So when I see that, I immediately make sure that the one that's saying I'm going to spend it all, I'm putting a lot of effort into them, right? Because I want to make sure that they see the return. I want to make sure that they grow. That's the kind of people I want on the team anyways. I don't want poison. And poison is easy to find when you're hiring a lot of people, and hard to get rid of, right? So when you've got the people that are not actually willing to invest in themselves, well, why should you invest as much in them, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I try to get them to realize why they should invest in themselves. I don't give up on anyone. I of course give them the opportunity, but when you find those people that really are hungry for it, make sure you give them the time. Because that's what's going to grow the business even more, right? Is when you have other people that are like you who wants to grow. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's the conversation we were having before. Just like leads, for us personally, you're just putting the numbers in your favor so you can find those people who are worth your time. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Honestly, I wouldn't have wanted someone to, like, at the beginning when I started, like, I wasn't being bottle fed because I wasn't showing a reason to be, you know what I mean? Like I had to earn that. And not that I'm bottle fed now, but you understand what I mean? Like you've got to earn the respect of individuals. You can't just expect it. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is they feel entitled when they come in, and entitlement will lead you to a lot of, I mean, relationships can get affected, you know, the business itself can be affected. Like you don't want to come in with that entitlement mindset. You want to be open, willing to listen, willing to work hard. So
Yeah, no, 100%. That's really valuable. Well, Zach, thank you so much for your time. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got stuff to do. We've had a couple of issues here. I'd
Yep.
like to, for one last thing, you know, obviously, even in our group here, you know, we have, got people like Dan. You know, Dan's just getting started as his first week out there. You know, we have Sean, you know, who's really getting into it. You know, starting to make himself a consistent big writer. You know, myself, who, you know, I'm on that upswing where I'm starting to kind of write my highest numbers yet, and then obviously a ton of people everywhere in between. You know,
Right.
people who haven't even got it start yet that are gonna watch this. What would you say if you were gonna just kind of give a piece of advice just for our industry in particular that you would say kind of applies for everybody, you know, to help all those people? If a parting shout.
Honestly, biggest thing I would say, and you cut out a little bit. You might have to, you'll have to repeat the beginning of the question. Repeat it
Okay.
one time for me.
I was just saying something that would apply to all those people for our industry, just to help all those different, you know, from people that are just getting started to people that are top producers, you know,
Yeah.
like yourself. What's something that you would share that you think would help all those people?
I think honestly, the biggest thing, it all comes back to mindset. Mindset will drive leads. Mindset will drive appointments. Mindset will drive growth in your business. Mindset's extremely important. So when I say mindset, I mean making sure that you have that positive mindset, but also level head, right? It's going to have a lot of ups and downs, and you've got to be willing to go through them, or else this business will tear you apart, just like any business that you start would. So, best thing I can say is make sure your mindset's right and make sure you're on a level playing field as far as your mind goes. That way, when you have the bad day, you know that tomorrow will be a better day, and it's normal. You know what I mean? So when I hear someone complain, I'm just thinking, okay, tomorrow's going to be better. Let's just make sure you have appointments and go out again, right? That's it.